The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice.
Live from Rockledge, Florida, from the offices of Move, welcome to the Ronald Russell Farnham Show on Night Dreams Talk Radio Network. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network on nightdreamstalkradio.com. Today is Sunday, April 28th, 2019, and it is 9:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Ronald. Tonight is a very special show. This evening, I will end one of the most controversial conspiracy and paranormal issues going on right now across Earth. That issue is, what is the shape of the Earth? And what is the true nature of reality? Are we living on a spinning globe? Or are we on a flat plane? Or is it something else? Tonight I answer that question once and for all. For me anyway, about where I stand on the nature of our reality. And I think you will agree. Who are we? Where are we from? Why are we here? What is this thing we are living on or in? I need your opinions on this. Even though I believe I figured it out, and I'm going to share the answers with you tonight, after you hear this show, I want you to send me your opinion. Email me at theronaldshow2011@gmail.com. That's theronaldshow2011@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of my final answers this evening. Before we get into tonight's show, I want to give my thanks out to my sponsor for this and each of my shows, Move. Move is spelled M-U-V. I am here right now broadcasting from Move's 6,000 square foot facility in Rockledge, Florida. Check out Move's website at www.movenow.com. That's MUVNOW.com. Move is a business and household goods moving company. Their slogan is, "When life takes you places, we'll bring your things." If you're in Florida and you have to move your household goods or your business, go to movenow.com and get a quick, hassle-free quote and get moving. They handle your items carefully and have less than 1% in damage claims. Give them your business. They are reinventing the moving business. I know this for a fact because I'm part of their growing company. Now, on with the show. Earth. What is it? Reality. What is it? According to the brightest physicists in the world, matter is made up of just a few tiny particles, electrons, and up and down quarks. Science has admitted the word particle, though, is the wrong word to be using. Physicists at CERN, the Hadron Collider, say that particle is not an accurate word. What we ought to use is field, a field of energy. All this time you thought your world is made of particles. It's not composed of particles, but rather fields of toroidal energy. These toroidal fields that are composed of electrons and up and down quarks directly respond to your consciousness. Your reality is made to appear solid due to your consciousness and your perception from behind the ether. Your consciousness is on the invisible side of the ether, and your world is displayed on the apparently physical side of the ether. Your world is both a spinning globe and a flat plane, and it is a toroidal field of energy. Your government/control mind refuses to show you live footage of your Earth because it will eliminate the debate of the globe versus flat Earth. What would you see if they could get high enough to show you pictures is that your world that you live on or in is a field of toroidal energy. Now, to explain all this, I have to start from the beginning of the answer and lay groundwork so you can follow where I'm coming from on this. I've done the research and taken this information from the most visible and in-depth source of physics today, and that is from the recent science coming out of the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. On July 4th, 2012, CERN announced they found a new Higgs boson particle that had been predicted in 1964. CERN is the European Organization for Nuclear Research just outside of Geneva, with a population of 7,000 physicists who do research there on particle physics or field physics. To understand what a Higgs boson is, I have to give you a lesson on particle physics. The standing theory is that the universe is made of more than 100 different chemical elements per the periodic table of elements that you learned about in school. For every element, there's an atom that was previously thought to be a fundamental thing. That was the Victorian view of matter. But in 1897, the electron was discovered. This led to a revision of the structure of the atom that had previously been thought to be hard, indestructible, and indivisible. When the electron was discovered, that was revised and we got the model of the atom that we all learned in school. That model with a nucleus. It contains most of the mass of the atom and is positively charged. Around the atom go these electrons. On the periodic table of elements, there's a pattern to the properties of the elements. The group 1 elements react in similar ways, and they get more reactive as you go down. There are clear patterns in the way the elements are arranged. And that is indicative of a deeper structure, which can be explained by different numbers of electrons going around atoms. It's the electrons that determine the chemical properties of any element. Then it was discovered in the 1930s that the nucleus is made of smaller things called protons and neutrons that make up most of the mass of the atom and are heavier and much more massive than electrons. The proton is positively charged and the neutron is electrically neutral. Then in the 1960s, it was discovered that there are even smaller particles or fields that make up protons and neutrons called quarks. Quarks. The proton is made of 2 up quarks and 1 down quark. And the neutron is made of 2 down quarks and 1 up quark. And that's it. Everything that exists is made of these 3 particles: electrons and up and down quarks. You are quarks and electrons arranged in an interesting way. These are the first 3 particles of what your traditional scientists call the Standard Model. However, what the powers that be do not want you to know is that there is another model that they know about, but refuse to share with you in order to control you. The Standard Model of particle physics is a boring name for something extraordinary. This Standard Model does not include gravity. But other than that, they are telling you that this is what everything is. That brings us to the ghost-like invisible particle called the neutrino. There are trillions of them going through you right now. They're allegedly created by the sun in vast quantities that go straight through you, straight through the earth, and science says that they very rarely interact with the ordinary matter out of which we are made. So these 4 particles make up what modern science calls the first generation of matter. Science tells you that for some reason they're not sure about. Nature of Reality has also given 2 additional copies of these particles that they refer to as the second generation. In this so-called second generation, all the particles are exactly the same as in the first generation, except that they're more massive and more unstable. For example, the electron has a heavy cousin called the muon, which they say is 200 times more massive than the electron. These muons quickly decay into an electron and some neutrons. So they don't hang around long and they are unstable, but they make them in high-energy collisions like at CERN's Large Hadron Collider. There's a third generation that's even heavier. Science says they have no idea why they exist. They see the structure and the pattern, but they tell us that they don't know what underlies this. They say it suggests that there's something deeper that's responsible for these peculiar matter particles. The last ingredient in the Standard Model are the 3 fundamental force particles. The first and most important and strongest of the 3 forces is electromagnetism. That's the force that causes the electrons to stick to the nuclei of atoms. It binds atoms together. It's responsible for chemistry and most of the stuff that's important to us. The particle that transmits the electromagnetic interaction is the photon, the particle of light. So light itself is also an electromagnetic phenomenon. There are 3 other particles: the gluon that glues things. It's the strong nuclear force particle that it binds quarks together inside the atomic nucleus. It binds protons and neutrons together. Then there are 2 rather weird particles called the W and Z particles. These particles transmit a third and even weirder force called the weak nuclear force. The weak nuclear force